Hello again. Okay, it's the same day. It's the 8th, and it's late. I was tagging and bagging some stuff, and I realized I didn't video these three. At least I don't think I did. So, real quick, these are Frito, the mini duckling. It is an IG free pattern from Crochet by Beck. This is another one that I saw on somebody's video, I think a couple weeks ago. So, this is the first one I made in, it's not Bernat, it's, Premiere? No, not Premiere. Yeah, Premiere Basic Chenille. I think I made this one with the 5.5mm hook. So, it came out a little smaller, and I followed the pattern, basically. The leg keeps coming up a little crooked, based on tension and all that. I had to go back in and add a little more to the beak because it was kind of flat. You surface it on, and then you're supposed to whip stitch, and it just made it really blunt and fat. So I just, after I did that, I just reattached where I slip stitch and just added another row, I think, of single crochet or slip stitch. I don't remember, but there it is. It's a cute little thing. I like it. I like it enough that I made 3, but I'm sure it's user error, but the back just isn't coming out the way that it looks in the pattern. Must be some step I'm missing, even though I've done it 3 times now, and plus my tension, whenever things have to be centered, it never comes out that way. Like 99% of the time, never does. So in the pattern, it looks like you could see the little hump of the butt area, and it wasn't really pronounced. So you're supposed to do stuff in the back loop only, and the front loops are kept open. So I just went back and surfaced on in the front loops just to give it a little more dimension, because you really couldn't see this protrusion. So, what did I say this was? Basic chenille, and this is just more of that mystical that I'm trying to use up. And then I did this one with a 6mm hook, I think, and it just came out a little bigger, slightly bigger, but it's a tiny little, you know, snuggler, no stuffing, works up quick enough. The arms are crocheted in, and the legs are surfaced on, so is the beak. So basically no sew, except if you follow the pattern you have to whip stitch the beak closed, but I don't. I do my own thing. So awesome. And then this is the Hirschner's Mystical, and it's basically skinny chenille, but I tripled it. So so nothing. That's basically it. Even when you triple it, it still comes out pretty small. I think I ended up using either a 5.5 or 6mm, and it still came out smaller than these. But this colorway, I think it's the Fruit Bowl colorway. I absolutely love it. I first used it for a bunny last spring, and I love this colorway, and it goes so perfect with this orange color of the Mystical, because it has specks of it in there. And it's a little firmer, kind of like Bosch, how structured it is. So I love this. I did not like this Mystical when I first bought it, even though I ended up buying a whole lot of it. But since I've been tripling it or doubling it, I really like using it, and I went to look to see if they still had it, and it's definitely discontinued, because it was like $1.99 at the time, and they're small balls, but I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So that is that. I'm gonna do a quick tag and bag so I can put it away. Bye. Hello again. It's Laurel with the Dabbling hook. Today is What is today? Tuesday, the 14th of April. Time is marching along. Anyway, just another quick clip. Sorry for all the noise in the background or on the desk. There's just always a lot of stuff on my little desk, so you know the drill. Anyway, latest clip of my finished items. This part of what you can see is the plush teddy bear or teddy bear plushie. I forget what it's called. Let me see. I'm moving you around, but let me see if I can see the official name. Anyway, it's a pattern by Raven Jade Co. on Etsy. And I'm scrolling instead of going all the way home. Yeah, it's just called Teddy Bear by Raven Jade Co. And it's basically a teddy bear with a little sweater on, which is part of the pattern, or part of the body of the pattern. And it has a bonnet on the head, which I think is really cute. I was going to buy, I think, the hooded bonnet, the hooded bear, a bear in a hoodie, by Nooks Hooks, I think. Anyway, but I remembered I had this one already. I don't remember when I bought it, but I had this, so similar enough. The Nooks Hooks pattern, the hood is part of, it doesn't come off completely, but it can come off the head. Anyway, this one is a bonnet that's separate, but what I mean by this one is, actually, let me close this. It's this. Don't mind the background mess. You're not seeing any of that. But there it is. You can see I have the ubiquitous lint roller. You need that especially when you work with fluffy yarn. But what am I going to say about this? Pretty easy patterns. There are just a couple of tricky parts, like in the arm, when you go from the body color to that color, the space is a little tight. That's about the trickiest part of it. It's mostly no-sew. You do have to sew the ears on, and I think, yeah, that's the only part you have to sew on, are the ears. Everything else is incorporated as you go. So this is, again, some more clearance yarn, and it's the older type of Bernat. This one I'm pretty sure I got off Hirschner's, and it's the really substantial old Bernat, spongy, bouncy yarn. You all know how Bernat used to be. Sometimes I like it and sometimes not so much, but it works for this. This is in, I don't remember the colorway. I want to say dark taupe. It's kind of like a ashy gray brown kind of, but anyway, works perfectly. This one I embroidered the eyes. I'm not sure, oh excuse me, how I feel about it, because you had to do some face shaping, and at least for me it's difficult to do it on embroidered eyes, so as you can see there is a bit of face shaping. I think it works, but oh well. I had to add some highlights to the eye because it was looking pretty severe without that. And then, like I said, I'm not going to take the bonnet off, but it's just tied on. I used some really old deep stash of what is that? I don't remember what yarn that is. I think it's a Big Twist, the first version of their chunky yarn, I think is what this was. Or it's not chunky, it's a Big Twist, but it's a really substantial worsted weight yarn that I used to love, and they'd gotten rid of it and replaced it with something else. But anyway, I still have a little bit in my stash. It's very deep stash, but yeah. Bonnet, again, more of the older, this was kind of like in between the old and new version of Bernat blanket. It's still thick, but not as thick as this bouncy, spongy one, but yeah, I like it so much, and Father Minion liked it so much that when he first saw it, again, lately he's been liking my makes, which is very odd. Not that he didn't like it before, but he's more expressive about it lately. But he goes, "Oh, you made me into a teddy bear," because he's like, "Look, my belly's out." And I'm like, okay. All right, so it was one of his rare funny moments. But anyway, so this is the first one, and I liked it so much that I wanted to make another one. I've wanted to make teddy bears for a while to have in stock, but I never seemed to get around it. But I decided to make it in Bernat again, but the newer Bernat, obviously softer, thinner. As you can see with the two of them, there's a marked difference in the size. Obviously, the first one I used a 6.5 and a 7.5. No, 6.5 and a 7 size hook. This one I used a 5.5 and 6 millimeter. No, wait, was I supposed to? No, I use a 5.5 for this. The first one I used either a 6 millimeter or 6.5. I can't remember. I didn't switch it up. So the pattern does have a pocket patch on one of the bears in the picture. So I decided to try it on this one. This one was busy enough as it is, but this one I decided to add it in purple because I used some of the itty bitty stripes to make the hood, and came out, it started with this golden color, went into that, and it ended with the purple where I seamed it. So I just used it for the border and the strap. And since I had purple there, I tied it in with the little pocket patch. So love it. Again, almost no sew as it falls. You just have to sew on the ears, and I think it did a little better with the face shape, but he looks like he's angry. Not like mad angry, but just, you know, don't talk to me kind of angry. But yeah, I can see the face shaping. I like it. I was thinking of doing a little eyebrow or eyelash or something, or eyelid, but I think I'm just gonna leave it alone because I like it. I love this sweet potato-y color. I don't have, let's see, I thought I had kept the little bit of oh, I did. This is it. I had used the cake for something, and I had caked up the rest, and it is called weakness burnt mustard. That's the colorway, and I love it. I love the mustard color, but this one just has that sweet potato, extra sweet sugariness to it. But yeah, so that's the bear from Raven Jade Co. And then I did two others. Now this one, the pattern was gifted to me. I do not remember by who, and hopefully whoever it was isn't watching this when I post it, because I apologize, I don't remember. But this is it's called the Pocket Monsters, but this is the Fox, or Foxy, Foxee. Is this one. I think she has others in that line, but it is by Sia and Pen, S-I-A-A-N-D, Pen, P-E-N, is a designer. And I went to look, her Etsy shop is Canadian Etsy, so she does have an Instagram as well. But I've had this for a while. I've been meaning to make it for the longest time, because when I first saw it, I'm like, that doesn't look like a fox. But as soon as it was done and I showed it to Father Minion, he goes, "Oh, it looks like a brown fox, or this type of fox." I'm like, "Oh, you can see a fox? It's a fox." But I love it. It's another low sew pattern. You do have to sew on the legs and the ears, and then, you know, do the little hair tuft. The arms are crocheted in as you go. For this one, I made this separate and, you know, sew it in the back so it's permanent. But I misread the pattern, and you were supposed to leave a front loop to be able to pick it up afterwards to make this. The pattern for that, I think, is a little off, because it wants you to use all the front loops, but the number of stitches for this in the pattern doesn't make sense. So I if you know, you know, and you can fix it. So I was able to do that. But this is baby sand. This is more of that clearance Bernat blanket, thicker, spongier. This is fall leaves. I love this colorway, especially for fall. But since I was making it in, I guess, a brown fox color, I wanted to add in the fox-like color, so I added some of that to the ears. A little bit of face shaping for the eyes as well. There is shaping when you do the pattern for the front, but once you stuff it with fiberfill, it kind of loses some of that dimension, so the eye shaping helps. So yeah, there's that, and then the tail you add a bit of white. So this is baby sand, like I said, fall leaves, and I just had some white. I don't know what the white color is called, if it's just white, but like it. All the newer, very soft, the newer version of it, opposed to this bouncy, spongy. So that was number one. And then number two, oh, got leftover string, is in the fall leaves. Since Father Minion had mentioned, oh, it's not the normal fox color, I'm like, oh, I have some yarn I could use that's got orange in it. So I wanted to see what it would look like. It's very busy to me. But I don't mind it at all. Obviously, this one came out a bit bigger again than this one. Just to give dimension, I used some of the dark taupe, this color, in the ears. And I thought I would have had enough to do this, because I think I had, other than using some for the ears, I had a full skein of this. And it wasn't enough. I was crocheting along, I'm like, ooh, I'm almost done with the head. And I get to, I think, the last 2 rounds, where they were both decreasing rounds, and I ran out. So I was literally piecing, like this whole top here is bits that I tied together to be able to finish the top. And I think I missed a few, or I left off a couple of decreases at the end and just cinched it because I was out of yarn. And I'm like, ooh, I made it, you know, big whew. And then I realized that I didn't have any left for the tail. So instead of the tail being in the body color, I had to just use I had to use some of the what do you call it, dark taupe to do it, because thankfully I had used it here, so I guess it kind of, you know, it's different. And I didn't want to use white because it was very stark, so I used some of the, I think this is the almond color. So I started with the dark taupe, and then I finished it with the almond. And this one I did leave the front loop open, or I did remember to leave the front loop open, and then I went back. I think it's just easier to do it separately and sew it on rather than doing the front loop, because it's very tight in here and very fiddly. So because the tail has the 2 color, I added it here, and it pulls in from the ears. So all in all, I think it was a good save. You know, it's different. It's already full of color anyway, so this just makes it extra. So this is Foxy by Sia and Pen. So yeah, that is what I have for big sizes. These are the sizes of toys I like to make, and I know that it will slow down sales, you know, and potentially end up with me holding on to it for a little longer, but it's what makes me happy. Doing all the little things, it's just, no, I don't mind doing it when I have scraps that I'm trying to use, but to have to make so many of the little ones, it steals all the joy. So Foxy and I are going to keep making sizes like that. I think I want to make one more of this or the bear with pink yarn, and I'm not sure if I want the body in pink or the clothes in pink, but we'll see. Might end up being a bear. But this is where we are for right now, so we will talk to you later. Hello, it's Laurel with Dabbling Hook for another clip, another make, or makes plural, what I've been working on lately, or this week. Always fluff. It's funny, you never notice the fluff until you start recording. Okay, what are we doing? It's about horses. This is the year of the horse, I believe, pretty sure. So, horses I've been meaning to make, and I have made this one before. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, because I probably haven't edited the clip. I have things recorded from February, and we're in April, so. Anyway, I have a baby size horse over here, and then this little lovey snuggler. So let's move the big guy out of the way. Oh look, my plants. If you can see back there, don't worry about that. My snake plant, and I hate snakes, but it's small. It's in a set it and forget it pot. You just fill it and don't have to worry about it for like a month. And then this pothos is a plant that I think is almost as old as I am. My mom had it forever, and then when we sold our house, my sister took it, and then I'm like, hey, did you take that plant? I want a clipping. So it's been growing. I'll get closer to it. It's been in water growing. It's got all these, I guess, roots. I need to repot it. I've been waiting for, good weather and such, because it's been there since winter. But it's thriving. And then this, I forget what plant that is, it's called, but it's in another set it and forget it pot because I'll never remember to water them. Anyway, digression. So this is the No-So horse by, I was going to say Atomic Crochet. It is. It is. There's a tutorial on YouTube. This is the second time I'm making it. And they're the same color because I made this first, and I, again, trying to use up the yarn. So I made this. So I should have told you about this first, but anyway. So there's the No-So horse. This is all the old Bernat blanket, the plump, spongy ones. So this one especially, the dark taupe. I talked about it in the teddy bear in the previous clip, I believe, but it's, yeah, it does a number on the hand. But this is, like it says, all No-So, even the ears are crocheted in as you go along, and then you surface on to do the mane. The tail is done ahead of time and crocheted in, so you can't be beat. I think the most fiddly part of it is surfacing on and doing this, because you know how fiddly that can be. I think last time I said it, I would probably do it and then sew it on, like do it in one long strip and then sew it on, because it's always fiddly trying to work through. But it's almost like dreadlocks, because this yarn does not have much drape, but good texture though. So yeah, all done. And if you're hearing me bumping on the table, apologies, but yeah, there's that. I forgot, I think last time I was going to not stuff the front legs as much, and I forgot again, but because it sticks out too much for me. But then it can also, oops, I'm trying to do this one-handed. It can also sploot, because you don't stuff the body as much. So you can hold it like that. You know, all the pictures of the patterns now, they're always holding it like that. Or it can sploot. So again, this is, oh, what is it called? Bleach wood? No. Faded wood or something like that. I don't remember the name of the Bernat blanket. It's like a dull, faded grays and taupe colors. But after I did this, I thought I would have enough to do this, and totally misjudged. So this part is demi pearl from Michaels, and it looks thicker than the Bernat blanket, but it's fluffy thick, or it looks bigger, but it's more like, because it's fluffy, it's soft and fluffy, whereas the blanket is just so dense and thick. So I went down a hook size. I used a J hook for this, a 6mm, but for this part I went down to a 5mm, otherwise it would have been a little too big. And then I knew I wasn't going to have enough, so when I got to the body, I started incorporating that off-white color into the body. I did it like every other stitch and then every couple of stitches, and then I think I did a row of just that, so it looks well incorporated, I would say. Let's pull back up a little, see? Can't really tell. It looks like it's just part of the mottled color of the yarn. And then I wouldn't have had enough to do the ears, so I just did the ears in that same color. But there's a little bit of it here as well. I think that's where I stopped using that demi-pearl color. And I still ended up with probably about 2 feet of yarn because I incorporated the demi-pearl in there. Otherwise, there would be no way I'd have enough. And then, of course, I embroidered the eyes to make it baby safe because, you know, it's snuggler type. And it's small enough for a smaller hand. And instead of white, I had a gray, light gray yarn that I use for the highlights instead. And he looked, or it looked a little mean mugging, so I added the eyelash, or is it the eyelid, I think it's considered, and then some eyebrows. Just to give it a little more character. Otherwise it looked like it was just so mad at you looking. Still does a little, but it softens it a bit. So yeah. Second time making that one. Now, the big guy. So this is Hazel the Horse by Crochet with Kyra. Yes. And I didn't realize how big it was going to be. Plus, it's the old blanket yarn that's bigger, so you need the bigger hook. So, it's literally baby size. Bigger than a newborn size. He's massive. Absolutely massive. And of course, he's not going to be able to sit on his own. Nope. Let me bring my candle over to rest him on. See if it'll stay put. Nope, not enough leverage. But anyway, that's him. And as you can see, oops, this one is, you know, hand size. And if you put them together, it's like dad and the son or something. Massive. Like, it's pretty much the size of the leg. It's just a little bigger than one of the legs. So, pretty massive. Yeah, not much to say. Easy enough. It's just the size of it. It's going to take a while. And then I liked how the pattern did this. It was done after the fact. And I did it in the rows that they called for, but for the picture, it's more looking like that. It's not bulging out as much, and I think part of that is to do with the yarn. Like I said, the yarn looks bigger than the blanket yarn, but it's more fluffy than dense, whereas this is just thick. So if I were to do this again, I would, depends on what yarn I use, I would put this part a little lower so there's not much of the underside showing. But either way, who's gonna know? No one's gonna know. No one but me. So there it is. Huge. Absolute. It's like a baby. You know, even a toddler size almost. It's just, it's massive. And the arms are done pretty much the same way as well. The bridle, Father Minion saw it, and he's like, why does it have this kinky thing on its head? I'm like, that's the bridle, you idiot. He's been very into my makes lately, so I'm not complaining, but I did the bridle a little different than they called for. She did a long chain, attached, then reattached. Mine was just all done in one piece. So I'm not gonna, you know, go into it because it's a paid pattern, but yeah. And the hair is, so this is the nostril is done after the fact. It's just whipped on. There's a little bit of face shaping, and Father Minion thought it was a donkey, but it's kind of a horse, so all the same. And even though I use the Amy sticks, which helps a lot, once I start sewing, I still end up a little crooked. And I think part of that is I have to stop every so often and just keep an eye on how it's twisting. So not too bad, but it's a little a little crooked. But again, it's given character. So demi pearl, brunette blanket, and then this is the teddy bear color of Parfait Chunky. Oh, I have to work on my hand holding camera. So it gives it a bit of softness. I wish I had done that for this one, done the mane in something softer, but if it's a smaller hand, I think this would be easier to hold on. It gives more purchase, and here again, more fluff. So other than that, other than the tail, it's all number 6. Even though Parfait says it's number 6, it's not a number 6, more like a number 5. But the tail is surfaced on. Obviously the hair is surfaced on. There's no sewing. Actually, no. You do have to sew the head to the body. That's pretty much it. Everything else is done as you go. I mean, if you follow the pattern, then you have to do a little bit of sewing to tack this, but I didn't do that. I did it all in one piece. But it's just the head to the body. Everything is sewn in as you go, so you can't beat that. Ah, love it. I've been meaning to make a horse for the longest time, and it's a year of the horse, so now I've done 3. I'm going to try to do one more of this, but I may not get to it. But I like the floppiness of it, the fact that it's basically a splooter. So that is my latest. Hopefully this weekend I will try to get one of the videos edited, but absolutely no promises. So, all right, bye. Hey again, it's Laurel with the Dabbling Hook. Today is April 25th, Saturday, and by the time I put this out, hopefully you would have seen at least a video, but like I've mentioned in previous clips, no promises. I'm recording as I go along, but editing is a whole other story. It is 5:11, and just showing what I've been working on. Close quarters, because again, we're at my small desk. This is my home computer now instead of my work computer, so I can actually do that. But this is my jumbo chicken. Not typically, really based off of the starting point of maple chicken, but it's gone other places, so to speak. So anyway, this is Brunette blanket in tabby. I think they have a range of cat colors. I think I really like these. There's a green and a blue, I think Ocean Breeze, and then there's a green, I forget what it's called. I really like it, but I'm trying really hard not to buy things. But I think Our Inspiration has a sale going on, and I'm tempted, but I've held off. Anyway, I digress. So this is my chicken. It's a little, I think, smaller than the previous big ones that I've made, because I think I used a different size hook. It's what I had on me at the time. But anyway, this is it. The top is with, what is it? It is the Christmas yarn from Joanne, held with some fuzzy yarn, I think, from the Dollar Tree, to do the comb. But that's it. And then for the mouth, of course, or the beak, I don't do just the embroidery. I slip stitched. I do, for this one, I think I did a single crochet, half double crochet, a slip stitch, did a single crochet, then a half double, then a single, and fastened off, I think. Anyway, so that's that. I like to edge the wings in a different yarn, and I happen to have some of this baby sand available, so it blends in. So that's the chicken. Now this is the jumbo. I also made one other, and again, don't mind my desk. This is glue and other things that's stuck on, that's rubbed it off, but it's a well-used desk. So this is about the usual size that I make when I use blanket yarn. I also make it in like scrap yarns, like worsted, held two together, and such, but This is the size. So I'll put them next to each other. You can see the difference, right? Mama and baby. So, doesn't have wing. The ones I make out of worsted, I tend to put, I surface on and then put wings on them, but this one I decided not to. So, those are the chickens. In an effort to use up the yarn instead of having leftovers, because I bought this a while ago, the tabby a while ago, to do something, I don't remember, and it's been sitting there. So, what did I do? Hang on. What did I do? I made cats. Love cats. Now, there are 101 different patterns out there, tutorials out there. This is my formula based on what works for my tension. Because when I do others, even though I follow along, my tension's never there. Things are always askew. And even when I make them, they're still a little askew. And that's to be expected because we work in the spiral. But still, I have it based on what works for me. I am too lazy to do separate tails, so I do the tails as you go. I don't do the tube for the tail and then sew it on again, trying to avoid as much as possible. But look, I'm experimenting at which nose I like best. So I have 3. I actually had 4. I did one at work on my lunch break and it came out a little crooked. Now, I was doing it rushing. Also, I had a headache, so, it kind of reflected in it. So I ended up giving it to a teammate who loved it. So there were 4, but I have 3 here. So I have this nose, which to me makes it look kind of like a dog instead of a cat. I don't know why. This is the typical one. And then, oh, it's blowing out because of my finger. And then this is just a line across. So it's got variety. I don't know which one I like. I like this one the best, but to me it makes it look more like a dog or something else, whereas I guess maybe this looks more like a cat because that's what we're used to seeing, or I'm used to seeing, I don't know. And I keep changing the way I do the ears. I do it over 3 stitches in the front loop, but I keep changing what I do with each of them. So I haven't settled on one that I will use going forward, but I may just tweak it each time anyway. So those are them. I do the tails. One of them, I did the tail. I forgot to do it as I was decreasing, so I just surfaced on and chained and did it. Works just fine. But normally I do the tail as I'm decreasing, so it's truly no sew. I think I showed these before. If not, you're seeing them for the first time. If I did, oh well. My cat pattern, or my cat formula recipe. This one I started with different number of stitches. This one I started with the way I have it written, so it's a little pointier versus flatter. But again, this is another skein of blanket yarn from clearance. I think this one is it seaweed something? No, succulent, sweet succulent or something like that it's called. I went searching for it because I was making stuff and I almost ran out, and I was actually looking to see if I can find it again, but I couldn't. But anyway, just a couple of cats, because this again is the thicker of the Bernat yarn. They came out much thicker. I think I used the same, I used H hooks. No, I did not. I used J hooks, 6mm hooks for both of these. But again, the type of Bernat yarn is different, as we know, the softer one and then the old formula. So just 2 of those, and they look so different based on how I started them. Alright, things are falling all over the place. I'm sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Okay, what's next are turtles. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think 7 of them that I made out of partial skeins and also Dollar Tree yarn. So this is Dollar Tree Emerald that I've doubled. I started making, let's see, I think I might have shown this already. I started making, using up the Dollar Tree and just making the shells. I was doing a gray, obviously, and I ran out of the second one, so I just added some of the medley to it. So it's just waiting for a body. But this is, like I said, the emerald. And then I had this, I think it was a Dabble cake, or one of the cakes that I had leftovers, about half the cake leftovers. So I started making the bodies out of it. I forget what I used the cake for, but so there's one. Oh, I ran out of the emerald, so I did the little trim in the dappled as well. And then, of course, the gray. This gray in the Just Chenille, it's so much thicker and fluffier than all the other colors. So it did come out a little bigger than the others, even though it was the same hook, same number of rows and everything, or rounds. But I did it in the gray with this colorway is silver steel or something, but it's very mottled and I like that. So yeah, again, my my formula for, or my recipe for turtles, based on all the others I've done before. This is the sweet succulent. I think it's sweet succulent that it's called, but that's what I had left. I think I ran out with these, and what else is there to say? This is the taupe. I was been calling it dark taupe, but when I was looking, it's actually just taupe. I actually have one skein left from clearance yarn I bought, and it's the 5.3 ounce, so it's like the middle size skein of the blanket. So, in taupe, and then I have the same colorway, but with the silver steel, I think is what it's called. I think I have one more skein of that, and it's the 5.3 ounce skein of that. Another Dollar Tree in, I forget what that's called. I forget what the colorway is called, but it's the aqua type color. Again, with the what's the cake? I think the dappled cake, and you can see where the color changed. So he's got one fin that's a little off, but again, gives a character. This one I have just the glitter backing. This one also has glitter backing. Most of them have black eyes. This one also, not glitter. This is just the colored eyes. I think it's the very last pair I have of this. I bought this a while ago, and it's the last one I have. So, and this is called, oh, what is it called? Not bone. Oh wait, oyster. I have one more skein left. Oyster from the Just Chenille, and it looks slightly distressed, but the gray one is nice and plump and lovely, but all the others that I have look kind of distressed. They're not as plump. But yeah, this one has baby sand for the body. That one has the dappled. So, other than my mess that's over there that you don't need to see, that's it. Chickens, turtles, and loaf cats. Oh my. Alright, bye.